France's parliament has adopted a budget for 2026 after Prime Minister Sebastien Lecornu survived two non-confidence votes. For more, Bloomberg's Connan joins us from Paris. So what's better than one confidence vote, two confidence votes that he survived? Carol, why has it taken so long? And is it fair to say that Lecornu is out of the woods now?
And in fact, he survived as many as 6 confidence votes over the past couple of weeks. So the least we can say that it's been a very long and very exhausting process for this budget. We're already in February, more than 1 month after the deadline. And France finally has a budget after this whole political uncertainty for the past 4 months. Lecornu had this change of method. He wanted to let the parliament debate. He wanted to let the parliament decide. That strategy showed somehow some success in December when he managed to pass through the social security budget. However, for the overall state budget, the mountain was too high. There was too much political infighting in parliament. So in the end, he had to use this constitutional tool, Article 49.3, in order to force the budget through without a vote. That led to 6 votes of no confidence over the past couple of weeks. And last night, finally, Lecornu can breathe. He has a budget. Already last week in this same show, Daybreak Europe, we spoke with Roland Lescure, the French finance minister, who was already saying that France had a budget and was out of the woods for this year.
We have a budget this year, 26. That's a budget of stability. As you said, we're lowering the public deficit. We are doing 50-50 expenditure cuts and a bit of tax increases. We're going to have to work on the 27 budget, but give me maybe a week or two to enjoy the fact that we have passed a budget for 26, that we have respected our targets for 25, and that, yes, there's more work to be done, but so far so good, let's admit it.
The budget is far from perfect, but clearly it is a sign of stability after these 4 months of political uncertainty in France. Remember when Lecornu resigned early October before being reappointed again a week later, the spreads between the French and the German 10-year yield were at 85 basis points. Now we are down to below 60.
Yeah, so we've seen them snap back. And I guess this leads me to my next question, Carol. We've talked about the political challenges in getting the budget passed, but what does it actually mean in terms of numbers for this deficit that we've been talking about and that investors have been so fixated on in 2026?
We actually had good news yesterday with this news that France is reporting the narrowest gap in public finances in 2025 since COVID, less than 125 billion euros, better than expected. So that gives hopes that Lecornu will manage to reach this 5% deficit target for this year, even though the Bank of France governor, Villeroy-de-Galhau, has been disappointed that this budget is not ambitious enough in terms of deficit reduction and especially in terms of spending cuts, because in this budget there was a lot of concessions to the Socialist Party, so a lot of new taxes. For example, there is this extension of this new super tax on multinational, also the tax on highest incomes being extended, a new tax on family holdings, so not so much efforts on cutting spending. And clearly that's going to have an impact on the debt levels over the long term. This year already, France's debt is expected to reach 118% of GDP, could reach as much as 130% by 2030, and growth is not expected to be as high this year, just over 1% according to Bloomberg economists. So clearly, before the next presidential elections in 2027, already next year, we don't expect any major reforms for this government, given the lack of maneuver that Lecornu has in parliament. And next month, in March, we're going to have in France local elections that could be a bellwether for what's going to happen at the national level next year.